Of course, we're seeing a lot of change in our political system too. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi announcing his 10-member executive council to lead the provincial government for the next 5 years. These new MECs comprise of 7 members of the ANC and 3 from other political parties. That's the IFP, the Patriotic Alliance and Rise Mzansi. All of the 7 ANC members of this council are from the previous administration. Let's make sense of all of this. Bring in political analyst Dr Levy Ndou, who joins us now via our video link. And Dr. Ndou, great to have you on the SABC as always. Thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to us. We've seen the DA and the ANC been locked in a sometimes really fierce war of words this week, culminating in last night's announcement. I wonder what your first take of this 10-member cabinet is, especially when you consider the composition of this executive.
Ayanda, good morning to you. Good morning to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me. I think the Premier of Gauteng or the leadership of the ANC in Gauteng had no other option, considering the fact that the discussions that they had with the Democratic Alliance had collapsed. And I think this is the option that they had in their mind for quite some time. And the inability of having an agreement, which will include the DA, created a situation where Panyaza Lesufi has to come to what they have now. Interesting is that the ANC has brought the very same people that were in the previous administration, and the question would be whether they are brought back because they've been doing well, or whether they are just brought back because of the collapse of these negotiations with the DA and they couldn't get other people that they have to talk to. But what would be an important aspect to look at is that if indeed the big political parties cannot agree on the constitution of government, it could be a good thing, because that would be an indication that even in the future, they will not be able to work together.
Yeah. I wonder what you make of the optics, Dr. Ndou, of what we're seeing. You know, the ANC only managed to garner less than 40% of the vote in the May elections in Gauteng. But when you look at this executive, they have more than 70% of the positions. I mean, if it's to be believed that the party wants to reflect the will of the people, it's a bit of a hard sell when you look at the composition of just how many seats they occupy versus the support they received.
It is quite unfortunate, in my view, that the ANC and the DA could not agree on both participating in the government of provincial unity. The reflection of the will of the people is that the ANC got 35, the DA got 28, and if you want to look at what the people said, it will be good that you see the Democratic Alliance participating. But at the same time, the struggle or the competition for position should be blamed on both these parties. At the same time, when the ANC spoke to us and the DA spoke to us, you get a clear sense that these two parties are constantly fighting or arguing about the number of positions that they are going to occupy. And they've been speaking very less about other political parties that should be part of the GNU. At least through the press briefing by the ANC, we're able to get a sense that they put emphasizing that it is not only the Democratic Alliance that they're talking to, they're also talking to other political parties. And my view is that when you have this kind of a situation, you therefore need to be able, as the Premier of Gauteng, to extend your hand to other political parties if indeed you are interested in the stability of the province.
Yeah. Was there not a third option, though, Dr. Levy Ndou? I mean, the sense I'm getting from you is that the only way would have been able to have a representative outcome here is if the DA was part of the government, and of course that's right. But perhaps this was also an opportunity for the ANC to allow other parties to be involved in this cabinet way more than they currently are. So of course we know that part of the GNU is the ANC, the IFP, Rise Mzansi, and the Patriotic Alliance. And the ANC's argument is we could only give those other parties one seat. And therefore we had to take the remaining 7. And I wonder if you reckon that is sincere and genuine if you are really out to share power in the province.
My view is that based on the election results, there should have been an emphasis on proportionality. And indeed, any party that has showed its desire to be a participant in the government of national unity should have been accommodated and be persuaded until they agree to participate in the government. Look, the most important factor here are the election results. And the election results put the ANC, the Democratic Alliance, and other political parties as being supposed to be participants in this governance. An opportunity was created for these parties to sit and have a discussion. My expectation is that they would have been able to come to an agreement rather than telling us that the discussions have collapsed, because that is not what we expected. But equally, it teaches us a lesson that as we move forward, because we are not going to move away from power sharing, coalitions, or governments of either national, provincial, or local unity. This is what we're going to be staying with for a longer period of time. And I think it is important for our politicians to activate their mindset that this is their future and we are not going to be led by one political party. And I think it has been a bit unfair for the ANC to have the majority of seats if we look at the election results, because other parties, of course, would have been part of this government of national unity, and it was also going to therefore indeed show and demonstrate that there is unity amongst these political parties.
Yeah, a point that's been made often already this morning is the fact that this might also usher in an era of real instability in the provincial legislature. If my counting is anything to go by, in other words, if I have the numbers right, the parties that form part of this cabinet do not surpass the 50% mark, which means that the ANC would still need to reach out to either the MK party, the EFF, or the DA if they are to pass, items, so to speak, in the legislature. And it's anyone's guess how that's going to go, given the fact that so many of these parties are out of the cabinet and may very well be out to prove their muscle in the opposition benches. Already there's talks that Panyaza Lesufi, for example, should brace for a motion of no confidence, which may very well pass if the numbers are anything to go by.
Indeed. My view is that there could be a possibility on the part of Panyaza Lesufi and his government to extend their hand to other political parties, and in the main, maybe the economic freedom fighters, to give them certain responsibilities in the provincial government for the purposes of stability. And that, in my view, has a potential to also extend to other layers of government where the EFF is in charge. And instead of focusing on the governance responsibilities in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi and the ANC would have to invest a lot of time in trying to ensure that there is stability, there is cooperation amongst political parties, and sufficient consultation with the stakeholders that are there in the Gauteng province. Because if that does not happen, we're going to have a lot of instability, and governance is seriously going to be negatively affected.
All right, Dr. Levy Ndou, thanks for giving us your take this Thursday morning. We appreciate your time. Dr. Ndou is a political analyst as we continue making sense of the political machinations, as they say, in the Gauteng province.